How did Genghis Khan conquer half the world? With no food supplies, the Mongols were a self-feeding, unstoppable war machine. The Mongol logistics secret, watch now. History tells us that every great army marches on its stomach. But one army rewrote that rule entirely. Genghis Khan's Mongols swept across continents. Faster, farther, and hungrier than any force before them. No supply wagons. No grain depots. No long, vulnerable chains of food. How, then, did they conquer half the known world? Without ever running out of supplies? This is the story of the army that could not be starved. To understand the Mongols' brilliance, we must first understand the weakness of everyone else. In Europe, armies marched slowly, tethered to heavy wagons piled with flour, salt, and dried meat. In China, entire caravans carried rice and bean cakes to feed the soldiers. Persians, Arabs, and Byzantines all built permanent depots, granaries, and ration stations. Food controlled everything. Where an army could march. How long it could fight. When it had to retreat. And that dependence was the Mongols' greatest advantage. Because they had no such limits. The Mongols came from a land of extremes. A cold, endless wilderness of grass, wind, and sky. There were no farms. No cities. Almost no crops. And so the people learned to live with what the land gave them. The herds they raised. And the natural world around them. As children, they learned to ride before they learned to walk. They hunted birds with bows, chased down rabbits on horseback. And survived on whatever the steppe offered. Hardship didn't weaken them. It forged them. And in that crucible, Genghis Khan created an army that didn't rely on supplies. Because it came from a world without them. The key to Mongol survival was the horse. Every warrior rode with a herd. 5, 10, sometimes 20 horses. Each one a source of transport, warmth, strength, and food. When a mount tired, they switched to a fresh one. When the warrior hungered, the horses fed them, through milk, through meat. And in dire times, even through warm blood. Mongol horses weren't pampered war steeds. They were tough, short, muscular animals. Able to dig through snow, eat wild grass, survive bitter winters. And carry a warrior across a continent. This living engine gave the Mongols something no army had ever possessed. Unlimited mobility. They didn't need grain. They didn't need fodder. They only needed grass. And grass, in Eurasia, was everywhere. The Mongol army didn't march like a European army. It moved like a migrating nation. Families, herds, supplies, tools, and tents followed behind the warriors. They didn't depend on cities for shelter. They brought their homes with them. This meant that wherever the Mongols went, they were never far from food. Milk, cheese, dried meat, skins, broth. The nomadic lifestyle kept them fed and moving. No other army in history was more self-sustaining. The Mongols also mastered preservation. Arul, rock-hard curd, could last for years. Dried meat and fat pouches provided huge calories in a tiny package. Milk bricks turned into hot meals with a splash of water. And then there was eternal soup. A pot that was never emptied. Always simmering. Always replenished. These foods kept the Mongols alive on journeys that broke ordinary armies. When supplies ran low, Mongols simply foraged. They hunted birds, rabbits, marmots. They gathered wild onions, roots, and herbs. They fished. They trapped. They knew every edible plant across thousands of miles. A single Mongol hunter could feed a squad. Where enemy armies starved, the Mongols adapted. Behind their mobility lay discipline and order. The Mongols used rotational grazing to preserve pasture. They enforced strict no-waste rules. Every scrap of meat, every drop of milk, every hide was used. And then there was the YEM system. Relay stations stretching thousands of miles. These stations provided fresh horses, shelter, and supplies. It was the medieval world's closest thing to a postal and supply network combined. The Mongols thrived because their world was organized. And their organization fed them. With each new victory came new resources. Surrendered cities offered livestock, grain, craftsmen, cooks, and doctors. The Mongols took what they needed, absorbed specialists into their ranks, and moved on. Conquest wasn't just expansion. It was resupply. The final secret was speed. The Mongols didn't waste time. Cities fell in days, sometimes hours. Their battles were swift, brutal, decisive. And the faster the victory, the less food they needed. The Mongols conquered the world without food supplies. Because they didn't need them. They were raised by the steppe. Sustained by their herds. Fueled by their horses. Organized with precision. And hardened by necessity. They were the army that fed itself. The army that outran famine. The army that could not be starved. And that is how Genghis Khan changed the world.